Well, hi there, beautiful. My name is Amitabh Elliott, and I want to tell you a little bit about my Vipassana experience. I went about just under a month ago, and it was honestly the most challenging thing I've ever done in my entire life, mentally. And all challenges really are mental anyhow. But I had been meditating for about 5.5 years, 6 years, before going to this course. And I fooled myself like I couldn't believe how much I fooled myself. I thought it was going to be so easy for me because I had already a daily regimented practice. I really didn't miss meditations. I was meditating using mantra techniques, which were very successful for me. I've awakened my Kundalini energy, and my intuition is awakening more and more. However, it doesn't and didn't get to the root of the problem. And I knew this before going in, that there was something that it wasn't purifying. The mantra meditation worked only on a superficial level. And while I did get fairly deep, there was still a level I could be pushed to. And where I would absolutely lose my mind. And Vipassana is a technique that gets you to that depth of the mind level. And at least it's a path to show you how to get there and purify your mind on the deepest levels. And so a little bit about my experience now. Well, I went in there thinking, like I said, it was going to be easy, but it was very, very challenging. And the main way it was challenging was just from my mind rebelling. And quite honestly, I had thoughts that I wasn't going to make it, that I was going to leave within the first 2 or 3 days. And if it wasn't for this kind man, dude, Matt, that I met, one of the servers, and he said, you'll feel it by the 3rd day. Just stick with it. If it wasn't for him, I think I may have considered leaving. But with his words of encouragement, I stayed and I stuck it out. And by about day 3, after 3 days of absolute mental torture, where my mind created so many fantasies and dramas and so much blame and judgment, it was unreal. The assumptions my mind made, I didn't have any idea I was even capable of that. But until we spend the time, like at a Vipassana retreat, and actually look at the mind on a deep level, it's really hard to get there when meditating, half an hour or an hour a day. It really does take going to a retreat where you're spending 8 to 10 hours a day meditating. Because it's like, I sort of think of the analogy of, trying to jackhammer through some concrete. If you come by every once in a while and hit it with a hammer, you might get through it and you might break it, but it'll probably take you 20 years. Whereas if you bring a jackhammer, this Vipassana technique, and you hammer at it all day, every day for 10 days, you will break through it. And you will begin to see the ground underneath, which is, you could say that the cement is like the unconscious egoic mind. And this Vipassana technique is the jackhammer, and then being there for 10 days is like hammering for 10 days, 8-10 hours a day. And you will break through it, and you'll see that there is a nature underneath. There's earth underneath there, where you can experience softness instead of the aggressive aversion and craving of the mind. And so after about by day 3, it was actually about the second last meditation of day 3, was when I started to feel the sensations. And there's a different level of sensing that you gain by going to Vipassana. And it might be different for everybody, but for me, I began to feel so deeply, and I had already been feeling energy for a number of years. My chakras are all opened to a greater or lesser extent, and I can feel other people's energy, but this is different. There's a level of sensation that we can experience that we're always experiencing as the subconscious mind, but we're just not conscious of it. And it's that level that's actually interacting with the world. And as we all know, they say we use only 3 to 5% of our brains, and it's not the brain per se. We're not using that much of our consciousness. It's all unconscious to us, and this allows us to get in touch with that 97% of the unconscious and start to begin to see and peer into the reality of our life, because our life is all perceived through sensations, and then we mentally add on all these stories. And Vipassana gives us a technique to actually discover what's really going on in our life. And sure, it takes work. Sure, it's hard. But if you stick with it, if you stay for the 10 days, you will be rewarded beyond measure. And so then after the 3 days of mentally torturing myself and judging and creating mind dramas and movies in my mind about everybody else except for me, all the judgments were all about others. After that, by about day 3, I started sensing it, and then we went on to the actual Vipassana technique. You do 3 days of Anapana, and then you learn the Vipassana technique. And it was after, it was on about day 5 that I really started to get it. And then my mind rebelled in other ways, and it started saying, well, I got a hang of it now. I could just go home. This is easy. Now I know how to do it, and it's all gravy now. And so I had to battle. First, I had to battle the judgments and assumptions I was making about other people. My mind was making. I don't like to call that I, because I know that's not who I am. Because the mind does this, and that's why we have to work at mindfulness, so that we can overcome the negative mental tendencies. And so then I was like, I'm feeling the I felt vibrations like really quickly, because I've been really serious about meditation for years. And so then I had to battle this superiority that I already know how to do this. It's just being here for 10 days is sort of a waste of time, but I'll sit and do it anyways. And my practice weakened a little bit, on day 6 and 7, or maybe day 7. And then I started to realize, oh, this is my mind again, trying to bail out, like it was in the beginning. And then I really dug my heels in and started really, really focusing harder and really getting it. And incredible joy that comes out of this. And then you also get to see pain and disconnect from pain in ways that will help in your daily life, so that when painful emotions or painful sensations arise, then you can actually separate yourself from it and just see it and perceive it without reacting. So that's what Vipassana will do for you. It will give you space between yourself and what's happening in life. And I have to say that this technique is far superior to every other technique I've tried. Even though some of my other techniques that I've tried, such as mantra meditation, have been successful at awakening my Kundalini energy, it doesn't matter how spiritually advanced, so-called, with these cities or spiritual abilities like psychic abilities or energy healing abilities. You know, I can do energy healing, opened up spontaneously, channeling spirits, all these cool kind of things. They don't really mean much unless you have the equanimity to be balanced and serene and graceful in life, and that's what Vipassana is all about. It's all about experiencing the hard sensations and the pleasant sensations, and not grasping after one and pushing away or avoiding the other, and trying to remain equanimous. And that's what the Buddha really taught, was the middle way. It's always about the middle way. And I also would like to recommend a movie. It's Little Buddha. And when he discovered the middle way, the Buddha had been an ascetic in the forest. And then he was on the verge of death. And he heard a music teacher teaching his students on a boat passing by how to string a guitar. And he said, if you tune it too tight, the string will snap. And if you leave it too slack, it won't play. And that's what equanimity really is. That's what Vipassana really teaches, is the middle way. It's finding that balance where the mind isn't too tight and it's not too slack, so that it's not lazy and we become slothful. And it's not so tight and aggressive that it becomes turbulent and full of trepidation and fear. And so, anyhow, I'm going to end this video. Sorry the lighting has changed. It's because the sun has gone behind the clouds. It was better light in the beginning. But I love you, and I just wanted to give you a little encouragement about Vipassana. Stick with it. If you go, really make that decision that you're going to stay with it, and you will be rewarded beyond measure. Like I said, it's incredible. And enjoy your course.